All right. Nice. Hello. Way to go there, Strife. All right, you can unmute your mic there, Pipe. Pipe. There we go.
Hold on.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Red line, we will never let you down. But yeah, introduce yourself, Smoking Pipe.
Well, I am the pipe smoking skeptic on YouTube. I was a Christian for 25 years, and only recently, about a year ago, actually, came away from that.
Yeah.
And so over the year, I've just kind of developed into an atheist with my search.
So, what brought you to atheism? If you can call it a group or whatever.
Well, it started out as, first I said, well, I guess I'm an agnostic, I'm seeking, and then I kind of just started looking at, a bunch of different religions, and I realized, I started looking into, like the scientific method and Occam's razor, and well, for a while I said, I think I'm a pantheist, because, if God, everything came from God, then sorry, hold on. If everything came from God, then the universe is, part of God. But then after a while, I just kind of realized, what's the difference? Because I don't see any evidence that God is directly intervening in anyone's life, and doesn't seem to be relevant to people's lives. So, what's the difference between being a pantheist and an atheist?
There is none. There actually is none, except having two words that mean the same thing.
And then, Occam's razor, what can't be inserted, what can be inserted without evidence, shouldn't be accepted. So I just realized, okay, I'm an atheist. Hold on a second. I got some screaming kids. I'll be back.
Oh, no problem. Well, one of the things that interested me is I was reading something about like Newton's fiery sword or something, which is another form of Occam's razor, but it more goes into the idea of if it can't be experimented upon, it should be thrown away, which in science would completely agree with that. Though I have heard some interesting feedback on the idea that it does limit us to a naturalistic view. But as an atheist, I'm perfectly fine with that. So. Oh, yes. But I'll find it. There's a little... It's basically based on falsification. Yeah. That is essentially what it is. But there's a fun name for it. Alex. Oh, sup?
Oh,
Alex.
There we go. Yep,
There you go. Pretty good. All right, Wikipedia, don't let me down. What is it called?
Just in general, from the time it's been going on, I do like how, I guess you could call it laid back everyone is or at least the regulars are on the show, the people who host the show, where it's not it's a nice forum. I feel like it's not very accusatory. Like sometimes I haven't been keeping up with it, but the League of Reason sometimes can get a little heated. It's like, you know what, that really doesn't help anyone.
Are you accusing me of being laid back?
I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I don't know. My memory of it from when I used to watch it was, it's like, it got a little hostile. It's like, you know what, I really wasn't getting anything out of it.
Hold on. Are you saying I'm jaded? Really? The arrogance here. Come on.
Should I leave and come back?
No. Stay.
Yeah, that's nice. I do think, though, that having was it Nephilim 3 on a week or two ago, I'm not sure I really got much out of that personally, because we've all pretty much heard his arguments before. The topic jumped around a lot, and I think that's a big issue with a lot of times these kind of topics is the topic at hand changes incredibly frequently, and I think that's something that everyone always has to sort of keep tabs on where the conversation's going.
That is true. It has an ADHD kind of quality. Ooh, something shiny. Well, I just don't think, Aaron has a lot of knowledge on this matter, so why subject him to otherwise almost a hopeless situation? Neff seems to be unwilling to accept any information given to him that contradicts his worldview, so it's a waste of time to approach him in that manner. You'd have to take a few steps back and more of approach why he's so insistent upon protecting his worldview. So, yeah. Now, if he wants to call in, that's fine. He can call in. But honestly, as like an actual guest right now, I think we'll move on.
Yeah, and at some point, I think there was some quote about, or some idea about Stephen Hawking debating a flat earther, or something like that. And was this a Dawkins thing? It was something about, look, at some point you don't give these people an equal platform with science. It's just not a good idea, So, and that would be my other input, which is like, at some point it may be interesting to revisit these old ideas, but there comes a point when it's just not worth it. It's like, look, I'm sorry, this has been settled. We're not going to go over this again. Well, even if he wasn't so insistent that he's right, even if you were just stupid and just legitimately didn't understand, then I still wouldn't really be a fan of inviting him on, because it's like, I'm sorry, we're not going to debate whether or not the Earth is flat, for example. I don't care if you're dogmatic in that. I don't care if you're just ignorant, but that's not a worthwhile venture.
But the world is flat.
He's actually
flat, I'd be rolling all around it, like a ball, constantly rolling around the Earth because it's round.
It doesn't rain.
He's a geocentrist, isn't he?
Yes. We are the center of the universe.
No, I'm the center of the universe. Shut up.
You are technically, yeah. Just depends on the viewpoint.
I'm my own center.
Of course. We are essentially, everyone is essentially the center of the universe. What a beautiful way to look at it. I feel so superior now.
Well, if everyone's superior, then...
Hey, don't burst my bubble. But yes, it is the Popperian approach, Strife, so you are right. It is the Newton's flaming laser sword. It's much sharper and more dangerous than Occam's razor. Newton's flaming laser sword. They should add that to shoot 'em up games with the BFG.
So that'd be like that game that makes you learn state capitals, but with philosophy.
There you go.
Jeez. Interesting topics. Have you guys talked about presuppositional apologetics? Because that's been popular with Christians lately. Nope. Oh, right, yeah. Now, there's no shortage of presuppositional apologists these days. Oh, right. I'm getting the two confused. Ugh. Someone actually messaged me on YouTube a few weeks ago before they went to an informal debate with Cy, and they were going to be the atheist guy. So I gave him all the advice I had. I linked him to all my videos on that. And he comes back to me after the debate, says, yeah, basically Cy talked over me and refused to acknowledge that I can say anything. So I'm not
That's
sure
sad.
Cy would be a great representative of presuppositional apologetics.
He'd be like a wonderful lawyer. I object. Now shut up.
Yeah, kind of. Like, his whole thing is essentially it's, how do I describe it? Homer Simpson is parked at a red light, but he needs to get through, so he closes his eyes and says, if I don't see it, it's not illegal. And it's the same thing where it's like, if I don't admit that, my argument applies to me too, then it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep yelling at you. So that's always fun.
Redline V8.
Yes.
Hey, I thought you weren't going to be on this show. Yeah.
Hang on. Do me a favor, Strife. Count to 5.
I don't think he can. Strife, let me help you out through this. Ready? 1.
Hang on. No. Just Strife. Do me a favor. Don't ask any questions.
Yay!
Yes,
Okay.
there we go. I got the answer I want. Strife, I don't know if you can know this, but you are fucking up right about now because no one can hear you on Blog TV.
Awesome.
You are absolutely muted right now, which might be a blessing in
I'm not
disguise,
muted.
but
Do you hear me now? Do you hear me on Blog TV now?
Hey, it's gonna be like that. Not this week's, but last week's. The Atheist Experience had audio problems like crazy. So,
all right, Strife, let's see if we can do this. Count to 5 right about now.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it working?
Barely. You are extremely quiet. No wonder.
What do you mean?
Increase the volume
I
on
did
your
increase
internal
the map.
mic.
Are you sure you're not muted?
If everyone can't hear you, Strife,
Anyone?
then it's not them. Can anyone
Apparently
not
Kaiser
hear?
says he can hear me. And you guys can all hear me,
But-
right? Can you hear me, Alex?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, Strife. The correct question would be: Can anyone hear me?
Yep. We hear you. We hear you now, but very quiet. So just be sure you adjust that next time. Peace.
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 Well,
Peace.
The fuck?
Peace.
Peace.
The fuck?
Peace. Wow.
Peace.
All right. Well, everyone can enjoy the silent show today.
this is fucking annoying. I got my sound working. Everything should work. Is it better now? Do you think?
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Is it louder? Is it?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Now it's better. Okay. So, what about you, PSS? Do you have any thing you want to comment on?
I was just wondering if I could learn a little bit more about you guys' private channels, or not private, but your singular channels.
Well, I
On
don't
YouTube.
Have
Oh, mine's awesome. It's basically nothing.
one.
I have another channel I'm not going to tell anyone about that I troll people with, but hey.
Yeah, Frag's a really good troll. Sometimes.
Oh, man.
Sometimes.
Well, we know you're trolling, so it's not
Oh.
that good.
I had a suggestion that might help the show out. We could have the sound work.
It's working now.
When people are watching it.
One does not simply make internet sound work.
Oh.
It's the gods.
It's beyond my comprehension here. Hold on.
Well, technically, I am the god of electricity. I am an electrical engineer. I could be God. I don't know.
Yes, those AC currents are a bitch. I'm hating those equations.
We don't know, therefore God.
No, Zeus. Go for Zeus. Zeus is awesomer. No, wait. Kratos kills Zeus. Never mind.
But yeah, because no one else heard it, one of the things I thought was interesting was Newton's flaming laser sword, which is another form of Occam's razor. Essentially
Is that
stating...
real?
What?
Is that real?
Yes, it's
It sounds
real.
like you're talking about like Newton had a lightsaber. Just say lightsaber. Just say that Newton's lightsaber instead of saying laser fire sword.
Newton's flaming laser sword. Get it right. It's
It has
sharper and more dangerous.
plus 10 fire.
Yeah, plus 10 fire, and it gives you plus 5 charisma.
It's called science.
Science. Essentially, yeah. That's all it says. If you can't test it, it's not worth debating.
Everything must be that.
But no, with this presumptual that someone say it. I don't like saying
Presumptuous.
Presuppositionalism.
that word. Yeah. Essentially, if you're gonna get into almost any religious conversation you get up, that's gonna be brought up, because most of apologetics deals with that. I remember.
Well, they didn't used to, is the interesting thing.
Yeah, I remember it didn't during the times of like St. Thomas Aquinas. He was sort of the one that essentially brought up good arguments, I'd say, in a small sense, for theology, but it was more towards this prospect of those who actually already believe. Just sort of, hey, here's a way to guide you guys into following dogma and doctrine correctly, and I acknowledge that, but nowadays it's starting to just go into, God exists because we define God as existent, and therefore God exists. Like, how is that an argument?
Well, honestly, I read a little bit about this. Apparently, evidentialist theology, natural theology, was big in the late to early 19th century. I mean, late 18th century, early 19th century, until uniformitarianism with geology and evolution with biology came about. Apparently, then evidentialist theology, that kind, fell out of favor.
Evidentialism? Really?
No, for theology. Theology-wise.
Oh, okay.
Natural theology.
Yeah, natural theology pretty much was the idea that Scripture you can show Scripture to be true by using the world around you, which didn't work because the geologists in the turn of the 19th century thought they couldn't describe land formations anything, because a global flood does not explain anything. It just gives you more questions than answers.
What it did, however, do it is provide us with things that needed to be answered. I'd say, we actually don't know how this works. Let's go figure that out.
Well, I know, but it also gave a rise to the higher criticism of biblical literal. What the word is?
Literalism?
Yep.
Inerrancy, I think that's the word.
Inerrancy, yeah. Is inerrantism.
Yeah,
the idea that the Bible is not subject to falsehood.
Well, yeah, that kind of went down too. While, for example, ironically, in 1860, this is how old the arguments that the natural theologists today, intelligent design and creationists use. Kent Hovind used is your great great grandfather a monkey? I know this is going a little off, but in 1860, with a live debate it was, in Oxford I think it was, with Huxley and this guy named Richard Owens. Richard Owens asked Huxley that same question. He's like, was your great-great-grandfather a monkey? He's like, well, I don't see what's wrong with that. Pretty much, it was a non sequitur question with the whole thing. It was like, who cares? What's wrong with me being related to a monkey, Do you see anything wrong with that?
Well,
That's what
that
actually-
shows a misunderstanding of evolutionary theory.
What?
The monkey.
Because our great-great-grandfathers were humans.
Yep.
No. It was.
Duh.
I sure
know,
hope
but
he was.
It was that too. It was not It was not. It made no sense right there too. But I'm just saying that was the question asked.
I
That's how
really
we
don't want to
respond.
find out that my
Yeah.
genetic pool started not that long ago, and it's evolutionary. Makes me feel a little different. But I think it's interesting how they find it offensive to be called an ape or a descendant of one.
Better than dirt.
Exactly, that's where I'm going at. Their whole thinking is they are from dirt. How is that better?
I mean, I really don't get. Really, it doesn't really
What's
matter.
the difference?
It doesn't
Well,
matter to me if we're dirt or. I mean, fuck. We're made of elements. We're made of certain molecules and all that stuff. Okay. So what? What does that?
You know,
What does that tell you?
If they actually went and studied and explored and watched apes of today, which are not what we're talking about, but it'd be a nice little visual aid. You could learn to respect those creatures. They're actually fascinating. So, to say, oh, it's insulting to be called of that type, which it's not even a type, it's a species, but it's like, really? These creatures are fascinating, and the ones we're descended from, it's the ones they're descended from. Isn't that kind of neat how this dissension, expanded in two directions, and we have these amazing creatures here, and of course our amazing ability to think. I mean, how is that insulting? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think there's
And
Go ahead.
I think there's two ways to think about this. The first is the simpler way, which is what Dawkins has said, which is we are the descendants of winners via natural selection. How is that offensive?
Well, yeah. If we didn't survive, if our ancestors didn't survive, we wouldn't be here. Obviously.
We're the winners. Anyway.
Well, we're the survivors.
And
Doesn't mean winners. I
and
guess.
one of, sorry,
the
one of the
other
things
thing-
that,
Okay, we're being too polite here. Someone talk.
sorry.
Okay, Alex first.
All right. The other thing was pointed out by Ken Miller, one of the guys who testified at the Dover trial, is the whole humans classified as apes thing. Who did that? Who do you think did that? Was it Darwin?
No.
Well, no, it actually wasn't Darwin. It was Carolus Linnaeus, who was a deeply religious man. And even though he was religious, he didn't see a problem with classifying humans along with the great apes because of our remarkable similarities. Turns out he was right. We could verify that with genetics later on. But it was a deeply Christian man who classified us as apes. So it's kind of odd that suddenly they're being offended now.
Well, I would say it's more. Oh wait, go on PSS.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, one of the things that really helped me in my transition was, as a Christian, I was taught that evolution was wrong and whatever. And when I realized that the Bible is a myth, then it opened me up to actually be able to look into the study of evolution. And one of the things that really helped. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello? Okay.
I can hear you.
It got real
hear
quiet
you.
all of a sudden. One of the things that really helped was watching these videos of our closest ancestors, like bonobos, chimpanzees, and gorillas, and I just realized how similar they really are to us. And I mean, one video was a gorilla in the wild, looking. It was a mom, and she was just looking into her baby's eyes, cradling the baby in her arms, and it just kind of. I was watching these beautiful creatures, and just realizing just how peaceful they are and how happy that they are, and they don't believe in God. They don't have a theology, and it just really gave me a great peace. I don't know.
Well, what I've noticed that what you just said, the similar anatomy and such. There was a guy in the mid 19th century who was a staunch believer, who actually tried to disprove evolution by trying to find dissimilarities with chimps, with primates, and us. He couldn't find any, so he made up evidence. He made up stuff, and eventually, it was he worked for the Royal British Science Society, I think it was, something like that. he was discredited everything. He was thrown out because he falsified what he was making up evidence. It was bullshit, pretty much.
Yeah, that's the greatest dishonor in science.
Yes, I forget this guy's name, but that's what he did.
Sad.
That's how much he believed in what he believed.
Heck, that's the greatest dishonor in almost all of professional fields. Plagiarism and lying, anything of that sort is just looked down upon.
Oh, by the way, earlier you guys were talking about presuppositional apologetics.
Yes.
There's this have you ever heard of Dan Courtney?
That's who I just said.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I just said. That's what I said I was trying to get on.
Cool. Find his video, Christianity and Retreat, Presuppositional Apologetics. It's awesome. It's like
Did you see
the best.
Did you see the debate?
It's well, this one's more of a presentation where he shows what somebody else is saying and then he counteracts it. But
Oh, it's one of those reply videos.
he's only got 72 subscribers, so he needs a shout out.
Hey.
I was trying to get him on here to do that too, but frick, he's not on.
Like I was mentioning before, I'm not sure if other people heard it, but the idea of if you're going to talk about God, while the concept makes some sense, the actual understanding of what we're talking about and how we can actually relate to it is not made understood. So I'm not sure if I told Alex this one, but I gave a challenge out to people. I said, before we discuss God, let's actually discuss defining it correctly. And you can define it through these 3 rules. You do not define it God as, God equals God. You don't define it as just what it is not. There's got to be something you got to describe what it is. And you can't just describe it as the claim, the universe was created. So, God's the creator of the universe. Okay, well, that's, begging the question, was the universe created? And I've presented this to a lot of people, and they have not successfully done it. Now, what I find was neat was it does get them thinking. It's like, wow. It doesn't really turn them away or anything. It more of just makes them want to learn more about the religion, which I think is great. Do that. Because the more you learn, the more likely you're going to reach something reasonable. But it's still interesting that people will go into debates on this and essentially not really know what they're talking about, both sides. And that's essential in any debate, or at least discussion, to make sure that you understand each other's ideas on what the subject is. And, well, that's why I'm issuing a challenge. I don't really want to debate people on God itself until this is, satisfied. I looked it up later, and I guess it's called agnosticism. It starts with an I. Have you guys heard of that?
You mean when you cannot find knowledge?
No, agnosticism essentially, it's like you're agnostic or atheist based on the fact that you define anything supernatural as meaningless. So therefore, you cannot gain knowledge from it.
So you're indifferent to the claim.
Well, you can actually say that because it's meaningless, I have no reason to believe it, which isn't an indifference. It's actually a position.
Would you say, Prague, you're a metaphysical naturalist?
I might be.
Do you know what a metaphysical naturalist is?
Yes. Well, I might get there's 2 M naturalists, metaphysical and methodological or something like that. One of them, the one I am, is the one that states that, because it's meaningless, let's just assume that the supernatural does not exist and that everything is essentially based on the laws of the universe. That the universe is a product of its own laws.
So you're not a metaphysical naturalist?
Yeah, then I might not be. Refresh me on what that is.
There is no supernatural.
That's what I said.
No, but not assume. Just say there is none. There's none.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's more like it's a claim in a sense.
See, I just wouldn't make that claim just because that's...
Yeah.
The claim itself would be meaningless to me. There is no what. Can you define it first?
What would you see yourself, Alex?
Well, here, I don't think I would go so far as to say that speaking of things beyond the universe is meaningless, because there could be things beyond the universe, we just would have no capacity to understand them because they don't follow our laws of physics and logic. And that could be the multiverse theory. In a sense, you could say that other universes are supernatural because they're beyond our nature. I'm not sure that that's what people mean when they say supernatural. I'm sure they're talking about spirits and gods and whatnot. But to outright dismiss everything that you could call supernatural, I don't think is a justifiable claim.
Well, I just don't get when you say the word supernatural, what the heck that even means. Because above natural,
I think it basically just means things outside of our universe.
But that makes no sense because the word universe means everything in a sense. So
Super
Exactly.
means beyond, and by natural. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine.
no,
but
you go PSS.
yeah.
Well, yeah, once you investigate the supernatural, and if it turns out to be something real, for instance, let's say tomorrow we discover ghosts, and it turns out to be something that ghosts that we can test and we can prove, and we know, and all scientists concur that ghosts exist. Well, they cease to be supernatural. Now they are a natural phenomenon because they are in the real universe. They are something that can be perceived and tested and proven.
Well,
Yeah.
the difference between, supernatural and natural is you can control the variables in a sense. You could experiment on them. If you can't experiment on them, like they say you can't put God in a test tube. You can never, he's not natural in that sense because you can't, they say. You know what I mean?
Yes, but ghosts you can.
Well, I don't know
Because
how, but
You can,
If they're real.
Can, well, by ghosts, just by saying whatever is causing this strange, unknown phenomenon.
You need a
Why are
ghost
things
trap.
moving on their own?
you need a
And
ghost
we-
trap. That's what we need.
And once you discover why statues are moving on their own, you discover what that ghost actually is. And like dark matter, I don't know too much about it, but to me, a lot of this sounds like dark matter. We know what it does. We know that the universes, or the galaxies in the universe, are being guided by something in their revolution, but they don't know what it is because whatever it is, it's not showing light. Photons are not escaping from them. So, yeah, that in a sense, I'm not going to say it isn't supernatural, but you can use it in that sense. We don't know what it is. It's an unknown.
But we know what it does and we know what it isn't.
We know what it does. Exactly. Unlike God, we don't really know what God actually does. It's just claimed that God has actually created the universe.
Yeah, the interesting thing
exactly.
about
Sure.
evidencing supernatural phenomenon is, and I've made a video about this, and correct me if you disagree, but it seems that every argument for a supernatural causation, like, let's say, Jesus rising out of the tomb, you could say, well, that was God, or someone like me could say, no, it was the flying spaghetti monster messing with people. How do you...
Or it's a deceiver.
Yeah. Yeah, and so every piece of evidence for the supernatural would simply be an argument from ignorance, saying, well, we don't know how it came about, so it must have been God, it must have been Zeus, and there's really no way to say, okay, no, your supernatural explanation is wrong, but his one is right. But it's like, well, the only evidence is that they both explain the phenomenon.
Well,
I found interesting that Strife and I talked about?
what?
The idea of polytheism, where back then, by having multiple gods, each distinguished by a physical manifestation, a physical element or law, you in a sense can still keep science in it because their gods don't prevent science. If you say because Zeus did it, you can still ask, well, how did Zeus did it, as opposed to Minerva or
And
whatever
then you have
god.
stories
you're
involving
talking about.
why did Zeus did this and that and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and that becomes sort of scientific in a sense, or at least it can lead to it. So that's useful. But once you have a monotheistic approach, everything's just jumbled up into this one dot, and it's like, well, how are we supposed to extract anything from that? It's too jumbled up, too unknown. Can't even relate to it. So that is not as, what I'd say, productive or practical.
Kaiser Press Troll from the chat had made a good point. He said, "But we can measure dark matter as its gravity bends passing the light."
Well, yes, dark matter, if I remember correctly, it was it was conceived because when the mass of a galaxy was massed in a sense, it didn't have enough mass in a sense, so they lost. So the mass was counted by this type of not baryonic matter called dark matter, which does not emit light, and it does gravitational lensing, which we've noticed, and that's what it does, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, if I remember, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was giving us some talk on this. Someone asked what dark matter was, and he says the term dark matter is just a placeholder term. We don't know what the hell it is. It could be matter, could be some weird form of energy, it could be something weird we don't even know about. But dark matter is just a placeholder term for we don't know what the fuck is causing this.
Well, that's what everything is.
True.
That's what everything is. Like gravity, we don't know what the fuck gravity is. And it's just a placeholder still. We don't know we have a graviton, hypothetically, but we don't know what the fuck a graviton is, what it looks like, what it does, we guess what it does, but we don't.
Interesting thing about science, though, we don't really try to figure out what things are. We just try to figure out what things do. Because that's really all you can study.
Well, like the question Alex brought up with the resurrection of Jesus, that whole thing. Like, I realized, well, you told me this guy resurrected. Well, how did God resurrect this guy? I want to know. I want to know how did he do it. Like, instead of just saying, well, God resurrected him. Okay, well, that's not an answer, is it? It's skipping an answer, isn't it?
How did he resurrect him?
Yeah.
Honestly, if I saw someone resurrect in front of me and then walked up to me with bleeding, gouged holes in their body, and they said, "I am God," I might convert.
He's a necromorph.
Oh, yeah.
No. Jesus was a
Quite-
necromorph.
Yeah,
That's the answer.
he's a what?
Necromorph.
Necromorph.
Dead Space.
He's an X-Men.
Oh, I haven't played that game.
Oh, okay. He's a zombie. That's easier.
Yeah, right. It is an interesting point, which is, yes, it would be an argument from ignorance, but at the same time, there are some things that if I experienced them, I would definitely convert, even if it's an argument from ignorance, technically.
Yeah. I mean, evidence doesn't mean proof. It just means it's convincing, So.
The thing is that they keep saying, though, if I meet God, I would not know it's him. How do you know what God looks like? I mean, Jesus looks like. That's what I'm curious about. Like, if Jesus walked up to me, how would I know it's Jesus? Like,
That's a good point.
Like, how would I know? I wouldn't. I mean, heck, it could be a black lady. It could. I mean, technically, he's God. He could shapeshift into anything he wants, right? I mean, technically speaking, right? Right? He's like a reptilian, right?
It was an interesting point.
No, not the way they talk about it. It's God manifested as human.
What do you mean? He manifested as a burning bush once.
Meaning, while human, to be consistent with that term, being human, he can't have the supernatural powers to transform into a bird.
Yeah, I know that, but could he?
Though that is contradicted by his ability to perform miracles. But, hey, I'm not a Christian, so.
Well, we're getting into the territory of was Jesus God or was he fully human, or it's that's a debate for Christian theologists.
Well, yeah, that was.
Well, of course, the early Christians didn't even all agree that he was God.
Yeah, the Armenians, I think, said they were. He was, I think, whole man. Or was it the other way around?
It was decided that he was God in what was it, the 4th century?
Yeah, you mean.
Big congregation got together and they had to unify Christianity and decide what's true and what's not about the semantics of the faith.
Yeah, Arianism came up. I think modalism and Trinitarianism, a bunch of things started popping up. Arianism, because God is 100% God, but he's also separate, 100% man as Jesus.
Don't you mean Armenian?
Or is it? No, it's Arianism. Pretty sure.
It's not like Aryan, the Nazis.
Well,
Armenian sounds right.
Okay, maybe that's my pronunciation sucks then. Okay.
Yeah, but
I learned something.
That's something that I hear too, and you can't display the rising tomb. I'm like, and the arguments they use are the same ones they've been using for centuries. The theological, these arguments which are, would you say they're all flawed?
In what sense?
Well, any sense.
Well, obviously we would because we're not Christian, but
Yeah.
if you want to go by a consistency within the Christian standards, that really is a tough question, and I can understand why they were struggling with it, because you need to be somewhat consistent despite you being wrong or not. I think the idea, like modalism, God is one God in three different forms.
Isn't that Trinity?
No, Trinity is three persons in one God. One modalism more goes by I am God, and when I'm talking to people, I'm going to come to them in the form of the Holy Spirit. But that's just me in the form of the Holy Spirit. And when I decided to save the people, I decided to go into the form of Jesus Christ. Where Trinitarianism says there's the Holy Spirit, there's Jesus, and then there's Yahweh, and all together they form God. Or an analogy, the Borg, if you watch Star Trek, are one mind, a bunch of different robots and cyborgs and stuff. So
It sounds like God has such a schizophrenic. No, it has multiple personality disorder.
It really does.
Okay, maybe the Old Testament God and the New Testament God does, but
the Borg do remind me of the whole join us or die concept. You will be assimilated. So yeah.
I will say for the design argument, while I don't think it does prove a designer or even specifically God, Yahweh, it does raise an interesting point, which is what is this method by which we know that this one rock was just laying in the woods forever and this other one was shaped by humans? In other words, how do we detect design? It's an interesting philosophical back and forth.
But wait, I think there
go
is answers to that. Uniformitarianism saying processes now you can use to find out about process. You can use processes now to understand what happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
here's
in
a way.
sense, you see a rock form, you could say that's how the other rock formed, pretty much. Not 100%, but pretty good conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. It's not 100% because if I show you a diamond and ask you, was this diamond man-made or is this diamond naturally made? It's both because we can make diamonds now. And
Wait, you mean no? Artificial diamonds and real diamonds are different. They're not the same.
An expert could figure it out, but not a layman.
Yeah, a
Just
layman's
looking.
not going to be able to figure it out.
I
If they
actually
could,
think it could. I think I've seen a few. They're not that good. They're not that.
I've seen some really nice artificial diamonds, but hey, I couldn't afford them. Let's see, but as an example, there are some things you can't tell, but you can tell if a watch is created or not because we've never seen nature create a watch. So we will assume every time we see a watch that it was created until we actually see nature create a watch, and vice versa. We've never seen a universe. We have never seen the universe be created, so we can't assume it was created.
And the funny thing about that argument too is no one man ever made a watch. There was no one man who ever came up with the idea of making a watch. It was many people over. You had to have different things to get to the watch. You had
Not invented a watch, made it.
Yeah, made it.
You can have one person make a watch.
But was the first cause of the watch?
Oh, that's a different discussion. Sorry.
Is that better? Is that better?
It is better, but it's a different discussion.
It's a good point.
Yeah. So, anyways, to the audience, anyone wants to call in, one of the things I was interested in hearing, and Strife as well, would be the idea of ways we can improve the show, or things you don't like about the show, etc. Feedback would be wonderful. So, yeah.
Well, I think
Alright.
you guys are doing pretty good, and I actually do have to take off now, but thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Hey, no problem.
See ya.
Good to meet you.
Awesome. Take care.
Okay. So, do you have any opinions about the show, PBS? 'Cause I don't think we heard your opinions yet.
Well, like I said, I don't think it should last too much longer than an hour and a half on a regular basis, because I don't know if too many people would watch it that long.
Well, I thought you had more than that, but okay.
Oh, and well, maybe I think you were talking about this earlier before the show. Is maybe we could start. You guys could start having subjects, like a certain subject matter for each show.
We usually
People
did.
seem to like that.
Last show
That's
we
cool.
did thought crime, but it did stem off later. But that was because, well, hey, we made the point, so we decided to go into morality, which is very much the same kind of topic. But considering the show lasted almost 3 hours, I was surprised.
The last one before that was evolution. I was trying to get an evolution show for a long time, and Neffy fucked it up, in my opinion.
Let's not point fingers right now.
No,
But,
I'm just saying. That's what I think.
Okay.
Didn't make it an absolute, just saying my thing.
It takes more than one person to fuck something up, and that's my opinion.
And I think we got a guest.
Yeah.
Kaiser.
Let him in.
God, that's from
Awesome.
Metalocalypse. I know that. Right? Oh, wait, he's not.
Oh God, it's the clown from Metalocalypse. Or Metapocalypse. That's it.
No, whatever.
Metapocalypse.
Wow.
Death Clock.
Beer
I do
garden.
cocaine.
Yeah. What's his name?
I forget. But he does cocaine. I know that.
How you doing, Kaiser?
What?
Oh.
I don't know. Let's see what's going on.
See if he can get in.
Well, he's from Austria. He's from Austria. Holy shit! It's 1:47 in Austria.
Wow.
A.M.
By the way, sorry for my unprofessionalism at the beginning.
Wait, he's here.
Nah, we're teasing you, dude.
Hello.
Hey, it's Kaiser.
I was nervous, and plus I had screaming kids.
That's okay, dude. Don't worry about it.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, this is unprofessional. Remember,
So introduce yourself, Kaiser. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, hello. First of all, sorry for not picking up. I told you I'd get some coffee first.
Holy crap! You sound like Potholder.
What? No. Would you prefer if I speak like this, yeah?
Awesome.
Well, what can I say to introduce myself? Well, I'm just some random guy, let's put it that way. Pretty much been always an atheist. I never really gave religion any thought. However, in the last 3-4 years, I've been I got in touch with some people that have various mental disabilities, like people who have schizophrenia and those kind of people, and they are pretty damn prone to religion. And there are all these conspiracy theories, especially, and all that, and Freemasons, and I was pretty shocked. I mean, here in Austria, we are living in a fairly secular country, at least compared to the US. And I mean, I grew up without religion, pretty much. And then I basically got hit in the face by a guy who was schizophrenic and was completely Bible drunk. I mean, it was incredible, and in such a cruel way that he said. I mean, he was sick, but he was so Bible drunk in such a cruel way that he said things like, "Yeah, AIDS is just a conspiracy, and it's God's wrath, and all that," and I don't know what else. And I tried to reason with him, and I basically ran through exactly the same kind of things that you see with all typical creationists. Basically, everything is a big conspiracy, science, where all the big money is, and all that. And
well, Kaiser, you live in Austria. You said right? I mean, from what I could tell, Europe mostly the only thing you guys got to worry about is Muslim creationists, mostly, right? As the majority, as it being the big thing.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
In regards to Muslims, actually, it isn't that bad. I mean, most of the Muslims that we've got are from Turkey, and they aren't really all that. I mean, if you know Ataturk's reforms, and basically he kind of took the Ottoman Empire into a bit more secularized state, and so the first and second generation never really were that all that crazy about Islam, and second, third, fourth generations now they're actually fairly well integrated, and they're pretty much like most of the people around here. They don't really give religion much thought. The people that I most often see being completely religion crazy are simply people who are from a certain, let's say, mental illness background here. I mean, they're and old people, you know, like 70, 80-year-old people. Most of the people don't really give religion much thought, but the only ones that are really hardcore certainly either are from a hardcore Muslim background, like first generation Islamist immigrating, either that, but there aren't many, or mental illness guys. You know, I mean, it's sad, but I mean, I'm glad that I'm not schizophrenic. I mean, it would be pretty horrible to not really, you know, be able to detect what's real and what's not.
I felt sorry
That's my line of work, by the way.
Really? Oh, that's pretty cool.
What's your line of work?
I work with developmentally disabled. I work in a group home.
Oh, okay.
And we get a lot of schizophrenic people too.
Oh,
So it's pretty interesting.
I mean, I heard that mostly really fundamental religious people are sometimes I think it was schizophrenic.
No.
I wouldn't say that either, but
I wouldn't say most. I didn't say. I just said.
No.
Not even close. Sorry.
Totally the other way around, because from my own experience, schizophrenic people are simply extremely prone to losing a grip of reality and not truly knowing what's real and what's not in certain situations, and especially with information. You know, they're at least, you know, the people that I know that I've got that are simply they've got a really hard time to well, you know, when they're presented with information to find out what's real and what's not with that, you know, with that information.
So they struggle relating to the information. They can't possess it. Interesting.
I mean, you know, who was it? Skeptic or Strife, who works in that field. They certainly
No,
are.
that's PSS.
Oh, PSS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm smoking skeptic. Just say PSS to make it easier.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I should have just used Ivy Man.
The smoking pipe.
Or you can just call me Pipe. How about that?
Yeah.
What's up, Pipe?
What's up, pipe?
Chip pipe.
But anyways, no, that's interesting. And yeah, I do disagree. I think most religious people are not schizophrenic or psychopaths or anything of that form. They're normal people, because even though I don't understand their God, they seem to be able to relate and work with the world around them through it. A schizophrenic person a schizophrenic person couldn't do that. They would probably believe in God, but they'd still struggle connecting to the world around them. So, I mean, I think that distinguishment needs to be settled, you know? So,
I concur with you, Pragmatic. Most believers are just normal people like everybody else. They just, it's the way they were raised, and it was pounded in their head since they were little, and so a lot of them just can't help it.
Well, I was not referring to moderates or anything. I was referring to the extremely religious people. Extremely.
Even with that, I would disagree. You know, I mean, what I meant is simply that many people who are schizophrenic have issues. I mean, it ranges from anything from creationism to Freemasons to Holocaust. You know,
It's a talk show.
They sometimes with information, you know, they kind of they
I
kind
don't
of
got
get
one because I'm
caught up in
using a
like
program
conspiracy
broadcast channel.
theory
I'm hosting at
website
home, so I don't have a picture.
they're really easy to influence.
Well, you can watch the
with that
videos
kind
on the
of
computer
information.
on Fallon's.
And that's what I meant. You know, I would strongly disagree with saying that most, let's say, creationists are, mad or whatever.
I remember reading about the psychopaths, which might be relevant to schizophrenics. The concept that they were doing a neurological study on them and noticed that this neuron known as a mirror neuron, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. Is you guys familiar with the term, a mirror neuron?
No.
Okay. Well, essentially, it's a neuron that during its synapses collects from what you see, and what you're observing, that information, and is able to imitate or simulate what they're feeling through your own personal experiences. So if you see someone feeling sad, it recognizes that sadness and essentially will simulate what you can best relate to sadness with. You'll feel sad.
Sounds like empathy.
Exactly. That's what they believe it to be, the source of empathy. And people who are psychopaths tend not to have as many mirror neurons as a normal average brain. And so they're suspecting that might be one of the key components towards, what psychopaths comes from. Hold on, I gotta reply to a guy.
But
Interesting.
yeah. So Kaiser, what exactly would you say you it's
Say again,
most common thing that you
Brain
experience? What?
Brain fart.
Yeah. What would you say is the most common argument you hear from creationists from your country?
I mean, there aren't really all that many. I've only encountered 2 or 3, but the most common argument would most probably be an argument from ignorance. They simply either don't care or don't want to inform themselves about things like the classic evolution, how evolution works. They inform themselves at simply the wrong kind of call. They get the information from the wrong place, like Answers in Genesis, and it's a classical argument from ignorance. Just look at the world, just look at the trees. All this couldn't have come by pure chance.
But no one's claiming that claim, though. That's the funny thing.
I know. That's why
It's a strong.
I'm fully aware of that, but they are not. It's kind of the typical argument from ignorance on their part. I don't know how it got here. I don't want to get informed because it will challenge my worldview, and and so I can continue to bring up this argument and justify my pretty nuts beliefs, and then add a bit of spices to it, like a bit of conspiracy theory, the evil science and all that, and then you've got your delicious creationist soup.
I've noticed that's what they do mostly.
Yeah.
They say it's a conspiracy. Oh wait, yeah, it's a conspiracy.
You know what the fun thing with conspiracies is? The less amount of evidence there is for a conspiracy, the more evidence it is for the conspiracy. Because they were doing a really good job at hiding it.
Well, I would say the only conspiracy that is known, you could say is by definition a conspiracy, is the Vatican pedophilia thing. That's the only one that I guess you could call that is by definition a conspiracy.
But the Illuminati. But there's no evidence of the Illuminati. Exactly.
And
that exists.
And we have another caller, Chris Lucas.
Well, Adam.
Oh wait, one sec.
We got a caller, but we won't let him in. Ha-ha.
How do I get this?
Oh, now we can see you doing it.
You can't get it to work.
Well, maybe viewers can help you through it.
No, I got it.
Uh-oh. Actually, I was in Shock's chat room once, and the moderator kicked me from it because I wouldn't argue with him, which is kind of funny. Yeah. He wanted to argue with me, and I was like, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm sorry. And he's like, kick. And apparently, after he kicked me, they were like, let's all pray for pragmatic. For soul or something. I was like, what? It's like, I hope they're praying for me to get rich.
Weird.
Because if it's real, that'd be great.
Prag, do you think you... Oh, did you get a message from him?
Let's see if I did.
For some reason, I'm not getting him on my thing. Oh, wait, now I know why. Here it is.
Final.
There it is. Chris Lucas.
Yep. And we saw you, everything you just did there.
Because I couldn't press on his thing, on his window for some reason, which is weird. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, he's still kicking, guys. There we go.
I just need it. Snummageddon or Chris, whatever. You guys' definition of schizophrenia is kind of a little bit off. Schizophrenia, all it is that you hear voices and you can't determine whether they're right or wrong.
Actually, no.
Actually,
Only
I
some people
suffer
with
from
voices.
schizophrenia.
Yeah, but not all people who suffer from schizophrenia actually hear voices.
Okay, okay.
Or see something and they have a hard time determining whether it's real or not. And I agree that religious people kind of have the same issue, but not exactly the same issue.
Exactly. They can at least distinguish it from reality.
Wait.
They just sometimes include it with reality.
To get a
Fine.
clear definition of what schizophrenia is, I'm going to go to the NCBI, and it says, is a mental disorder that makes it hard to tell the difference between what is real and not real, think clearly, have normal emotional responses, and act normally in social situations.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna add that there's a lot of different symptoms to schizophrenia. You can be schizophrenic and not hear voices or see people.
Oh yeah,
To tell the
exactly. I
difference
don't
between-
see people. I actually see numbers everywhere, and I hear math equations all the time. It actually helps me in my career choice, but that's what schizophrenia is. There are severities of schizophrenia that go into places that they can create entire worlds around themselves. Kind of what Christians do. They create this whole world outside of our universe, which I think is hilarious.
Wait, you're schizophrenic, Chris?
Yes, I actually suffer from it. I suffer from a very mild form of it because I'm also autistic too. So, but my schizophrenia is I see numbers, and for the longest time, I thought that everybody saw numbers everywhere, and I hear math equations.
So you're autistic or Asperger's?
Well, Asperger's and autistic, and they never put me on the scale because I didn't really care that much about it.
It sounds like you can be that guy that's autistic. I forget his name, but he can copy music really well. I forget what his name is. He can mimic on a piano anything.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not going to label
I
him as an
can't do
autistic savant.
No, but he can see numbers though. That's kind of interesting. What do you see?
well, whenever I look at something, I see, like angle of ascent. Whenever I see a shadow, I actually see the math equation on what's causing the shadow and how it's.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like saying, oh, I pretty much see the
Exactly.
world through the world of physics. That's kind of awesome.
See, that's
no,
cool because
it's not awesome because you get really distracted a lot. But I mean, that's how I see the world, and it took me a long time to even get to the point to explaining how I see the world to people.
Well, what makes sense about that, though, is numbers are essentially just relationships, how we determine relationships.
Exactly.
So you're just doing that only visually. You know?
Right. Something I had to learn as I grew up and got to where I am today is I had to learn that not everybody saw the world that way. And whenever I'm not a very social person to begin with, so, but
You ever thought about being a scientist? Because I think scientists see the world that way pretty much, except they don't literally
I
see
have a
numbers.
master's in particle physics.
What?
I have a master's in particle physics.
Oh, so it did
See,
help
that's why
you.
I'm
that's
thinking
some-
you might be I think your Asperger's not going to give you that diagnosis because they tend to have a grand focus in something and tend to really, really study up in it. And at the same time,
Yeah.
are more antisocial, but more literal as well. I have a feeling you probably struggle with jokes, like recognizing when someone's kidding around.
Yeah, I actually have that problem a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, and I just wanted to say, if anything that we said about any of us
No,
has
no,
said
I don't think
about
that.
schizophrenic, it wasn't.
I wasn't
I
trying.
apologize on behalf of all of us.
Oh no, don't. No,
I don't. No, I'm
I
kidding.
don't take anything too serious whenever people start talking about how they think stuff works. I correct them, which is what I'm doing right now. I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia since the age of 7. So I learned how to cope with people going, "You're schizophrenic," and you get the "oh crap, he's crazy" a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I just see the world differently.
Exactly.
Which is helped my career.
It honestly doesn't. I mean, you do know the difference between the real world and the non-real world, though. So
It took me a long time to figure that out, and you can actually
Yeah.
train yourself to do that. The hardest thing is learning to break that habit.
But I understand though.
Yeah.
You see the world, but you see numbers, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, yes, there's no numbers, yes, but they actually do mean something.
yes, they do. They actually do. Yes.
So they're not pointless in a sense. They're
Yeah.
abstract concepts.
Yep.
So
Yeah, my
technically,
mind
you're
is-
seeing the world like a computer would, in a sense.
Right. It took me a long time to talk. I didn't talk until the age of 12.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. My brother's a super genius, one of those, whatever you want to call him, super high IQ. Didn't start talking till he was like 7.
Yeah, my IQ is 196.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Wait, didn't Einstein have 200?
Yeah, 201, but yeah.
That sounds
Delayed
like
talking
autistic.
usually is connected with high IQ. So anyway, sorry.
And you're a master's in what?
Particle physics.
Oh.
No,
Yeah, you guys I kind of got a little upset when you guys were talking about dark matter there for a minute. I'm like, and I saw it on the last week's episode with Neff, and I'm like, the dude's an idiot.
Well, I tried to explain with him what it was. I'm like, Neff, it's not like we popped out of nowhere and said, we're going to call something out of no reason dark matter. We have a reason to call something dark matter because, one, it doesn't emit light. So that's
Actually, this is a placeholder name that we don't know what's actually causing it.
Yes.
yeah, that's how I kind of see it.
And it's not just one thing. It's a relation to one thing. And the reason that it got turned is because, yes, he was right on that. We saw that the inner was spinning slower than the outer of a galaxy. That's how we noticed it. That's the effect of it. But when we weighed the galaxies, we also noticed that there was more mass there. That's what actually gave
I thought
us
it was
that.
missing mass.
No, it had more mass.
That has more mass.
I heard several times the other way, but okay. And also, I
Yeah,
heard
you probably heard
gravitational
from
lens,
people that was
right?
really not.
It's probably missing visible mass.
Yes, it's missing
Perhaps.
visible mass.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It accounts for it's
Yeah,
baryonic.
it's a play on words, but
it has
there's
less baryonic.
not enough mass in our galaxy to hold it together. But when we weigh the galaxy, it has more mass. That's why we say there's dark matter. We don't know what's causing that mass. One theory is that we have overlapping dimensions that are actually causing that mass, and it's actually a good explanation, because we actually don't know how our universe is related in dimensions. We don't know how one dimension affects another dimension.
Exactly.
And a lot of people affect that with supernatural, and it's not supernatural because it's interacting with our natural world.
Exactly.
Okay,
Again.
PCS, what do you want to say?
Lucas, can you touch a little bit on how we weigh the mass of the dark matter in the different parts of the universe?
Well, actually, we weigh the mass by approximating how many particles are in a galaxy, and how we estimate that is we have these great satellites up in space that can pretty much map everything that's going on up there. And we've been doing it for, a good 30 years now. 40
I would
years.
say that, yeah.
Um,
Hubble's been there for around that long.
Yeah.
But continue.
And we do spectral analysis of what's around us, and that's how we get the mass of our universe. And it's actually a lot more complicated than that, and there's huge mass equations associated with that I could throw in, and I don't think I even have enough. I don't think I can put it all into your little thing there for you guys all to see.
Yeah, you don't need to.
It's these huge equations that fill up chalkboards that would take me a lifetime to explain what each thing means.
Yeah, I
And
don't
that's
think
how we come to that conclusion. And it takes supercomputers really to do it. Even I look at it and go, wow, that's a lot of math.
Well, I mean, also I think Neffy last week talked about dark energy. Right?
Dark energy, is pretty much when you take all the matter away from our universe and take everything that we know about away, we still have a residency field that we do not understand.
It's the expansion, right? Isn't dark energy like causing expansion?
Well, see, I actually have a different view on what's actually doing that. When we look further away, we see stuff moving faster. Yeah. I've argued this point for a long time with a lot of my coworkers and stuff, that just it's moving faster because we're looking back in time, and the universe was moving faster back then. So, I'd
have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
This may seem a bit stupid, but considering that in the last 30 years or so, we found out that pretty much every sun has similar sized or a larger planetary system on average than ours, and considering that we found out about the supermassive black holes in the centers of the galaxies, has that changed the the dark matter equations in any way?
Well, of course it does. It also changes how gravity affects the galaxies too, but overall, it's black holes in the center of our galaxy only change a certain area in that. It still doesn't. We still don't know why it expands out as far as it does. Our best guess is the Higgs field.
The Higgs field has mass, if I recall.
Higgs field explains why we have mass.
Yes.
Yeah, it talks about how particles gain mass.
Right.
So.
But it also explains gravity in a certain extent, because inside the Higgs field, we think that's where the graviton is.
Well, wouldn't that make sense? Because in relativity, the more massive an object, the stronger the gravity.
Right.
So that would make sense.
The Higgs field, the more mass that equivalates in an area, the Higgs field expands out. So that's what the Higgs field is. A lot of people don't understand what the Higgs field is, and even I've read the papers. And
I like the analogy of this. You got a snowball. And
the analogy is what is the only way to really explain it to people like I'm not insulting you guys, but people not in the field. It's the only way to explain it to people not in the field. To explain it to somebody in the field, this is the effects we see, and this is how we explain it.
Well, the harder thing with explaining things like quantum mechanics and subatomic particles is they're abstract more than they are actually real, in a sense. No,
it's not that. It's we see the effects. And
no. I mean, maybe I misspoke. I mean, the concepts we use and such are more abstract.
Yes.
To explain them, so it's not like
lots of placeholders.
What?
It's placeholders.
No. What
they're placeholder name.
Yeah.
It's not like we know what makes up the quantum world. It's how it's acting when we're looking at it that we have a hard time with. And even when you look at like a quark and how it behaves, we look at it and go, that should not be doing that. And
exactly.
We don't.
The best description I heard of quantum mechanics is it's weird.
It
from
is.
a scientist.
You have particles that are jumping and moving around and not actually moving, and we don't know why. And you have something that can be going in one direction, and all of a sudden it'll be 20 feet in another direction. We do not understand why.
It's indeterministic, isn't it?
Yeah. And we don't.
The idea of randomness is what's applied in it. I love the Mexican hat analogy. Maybe you could explain that a little better. But the idea that, as this
I've heard that one.
a bulge, you'd have a ball on it. As the bulge gets bigger, the ball will either slide to the left or slide to the right, but we don't know what.
Oh, I think I know what that is. A probability curve.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
But the great thing is that we're in a time period that we don't know exactly why the quantum world works the way it does, but we understand that how it does what it does. Like, for example, we know that particles are jumping in and out. We can even predict where they're going to jump in and out at. You see that whenever you have I'm sure you all have a computer because you're all on it. Your monitor is based on quantum technology. The pixels on your LCD screen, they're jumping in and out, and that's actually how they came to that conclusion and how they got LCDs to work.
You mean a light emitting
It's amazing.
diodes?
Right.
Well, I know a little bit about that because I'm taking electrical engineering, so I know a good amount about particle physics. I guess a little bit, not that much.
Oh, number theory goes a lot into this as well.
Right.
Large numbers.
It's large numbers, and the large numbers are actually predicting where the particles are going to jump in and out on your screen. That's what that's doing, which I think is absolutely fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I read up on as much as I can on particle physics because that's the area I'm in. But my study is how particles work in black holes. That's where my focus is on.
Now, that's theoretical. I like that.
Wait. In what?
I study black holes.
Oh. And what would
That's
you say?
amazing.
Would you say if you could unlock the secrets of a black hole, you can actually unlock the beginning of the universe?
No.
Aw.
We'd have a better understanding of the universe. We'd understand. We'd understand what happened when it exploded into existence. Because all I'm studying is one type of singularity. The Big Bang is actually a different type of singularity.
It's an
Black hole.
asymmetric. Yeah.
A black hole is is basically a condensation of data in one area that's causing gravitational effects.
You're talking about information, what do they call it? It's like a missing information problem. I forgot what it's called.
Hawking radiation, I think, solved
Hawking
that.
radiation.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. And that he even came out and said he was kind of wrong on that. So, but all a black hole is a bunch of data condensed into one spot. The beginning of the universe is the release of the data into our world.
What do you mean by data?
Information. That's all energy.
What is it? But I mean, like, are you saying, like, I think I get this because a star, this massive object. The star, pretty much, its information was just conserved, you would say, but it became a black hole.
Yes.
Instead of it becoming a neutron star, it pretty much warped space and time.
Yeah, kind of.
Put it this way: if you think of gravity as, like you were saying, information being bended towards other information, or
Right.
then once you got a huge, dense collection of information, it's just constantly sucking information into it.
Yes.
And
exactly.
information is everything in this universe, essentially.
Actually, that's how physicists look at the universe, as information. Hold on one second.
Oh,
Go ahead.
creationists will have a field day when you say that.
That's fine.
Well, that
That's
doesn't
like
matter.
biology. It's information. You lose information if you change the genome.
Oh, that's different. Completely different.
Well, I'm just saying, if you say that, I bet they will kind of link that somehow.
Well, even the terminology is different, though. How they're using information and how we're using it in
Think
biology.
of how they use the word evolution.
This will stop the quote mine.
Yeah, but they'll do evolution like they do with evolution and cosmology. They'll do it.
How I look at the world and how my colleagues look at the world is we're looking at the informational packets that we're getting back from these satellites, and those informational packets are particles that are coming in from throughout our whole universe, and most people don't understand how it works. Even I don't understand exactly every aspect of every field out there. I can go and take a look, and I probably can grasp it a little bit better most people can, because I've been dealing with the informational packets for a while now. And it's our interpretation of what we're getting in. It's not like we're looking out there going, "Oh, there's a galaxy here." No, actually most of the data that we're getting from there is not that type of data. We're seeing the particles coming in, and we're reading those particles, and then they're being translated back to my computer, and we're looking at those, and we're seeing how they work.
Yeah, I was looking at this really interesting thing where, like, the information you're getting can also be distorted because, light and everything bends around gravity.
Yes, that's stuff that we have to actually interpret, and we have to figure out what's actually going there, and then we have to come back out, and it's not just one person that is looking at it. It's hundreds of us that are looking at it, and we all are looking at certain portions of it, and then it all gets pulled together, and then it gets sent out to everybody else, and it always gets screwed up. A lot of people don't understand what the heck we're talking about, so they make assumptions, and that's one of the things that I think frustrates most people in the physics field,
Scientific community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the scientific community in general. Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's worked in the scientific community will realize that the information that gets released versus what is actually happening in the labs and is way different. Like when the Higgs field was announced.
Did they announce it?
Notice they were very careful on their wording because they don't want people to go and misinterpret their data and their findings. And even then, it was, we don't know. And that's actually because a lot of people in the scientific community are getting to the point where they're afraid to say anything, and because you get this huge cult following that thinks they understand it, and they don't. And they don't understand the significance of it in the scientific community, like Higgs boson, when we thought we found it. We thought we found part of the field. A lot of people don't realize the significance of that. What that basically means is that we know why mass is mass. And that's a huge thing, and it can actually solidify some of quantum physics.
And it proves the Standard Model is correct, practically.
And we know that it's there, because we see the effects of it. And it's very exciting, especially whenever we start looking at particles. It's very exciting that the Higgs field could be there and could explain why stuff has mass. Stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's what I love about the scientific community is they're just so humble and so careful, and they're very careful not to make any assumptions.
Right, we have to be. But when you talk about like the Higgs field, which is what a lot of people still talk about, or they start talking about gravity. Yes, we're unsure exactly what's causing gravity. We have an ideal. We think that there's a graviton sitting out there, and that's what's actually causing it. And I kind of think of gravity as a quantum entanglement. But it's separate. It attracts. That's how I look at it. We've not seen gravity affect something so far out. So there has to be a limitation there, and we're trying to figure out what that is.
Are you telling me kind of like why gravity has not overcome the universe's expansion kind of thing?
Well, no, I've looked at the data for why the universe is expanding, and I've come up with my own small theory on that. I think that we're misinterpreting the data that's come in, and it's not actually expanding. I think that the universe itself, we're looking out into the past. We're looking billions of years into the past.
Yeah, we're looking into the past, of course.
And when we look out that far, we see stuff moving so fast that it's ridiculous.
Well, if you think about it, though, we are seeing things like light. Like, would you say light's a constant?
Yes.
So wouldn't you be saying that technically?
But it has some it can vary.
Well,
we know that.
It's a wavelength.
But
so
okay. At vacuum
it's wave
speed,
and a particle.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, but at its vacuum speed, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The rate of expansion, you could say, would be possibly because of the light we're seeing coming to us, because we are seeing.
Yes, it's not just the light. It's
the
other.
redshift.
It's the particles coming towards us too that
Hmm?
that we're seeing.
What do you mean particles?
Well, when we interpret the data, we're interpreting it from a wave to a particle. So um, when we look at the data, we're turning it back into a particle. So it can misconstrue the data that we're actually getting. Light waves are both waves and particles. When we
Yes.
look upon it, it turns from a wave to a particle. Okay, so when we're looking at the data, it's no longer a wave; it's a particle, and the light that we're seeing was a wave up until we looked at it.
I'm curious though. The further you look, is light different? I mean, in a sense, like, would you
No,
say?
it's the same as far as we can tell. Um,
There's just too many unknowns affecting it.
yeah, because I mean, this is where a lot of people have a hard time grasping it. We don't know if it's different because, and we sit there, and I'll sit there and tell you, we really don't know. I don't know whether it's different because these particles have been traveling for billions of years. Now, when we compare them to light waves that haven't been traveling as long, they're the same. Okay, so we just don't know.
Hey,
I-
that's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
the first step
we can make
is
the
make a
assumption
hypothesis,
that
right?
they are the same because we can look at the light from our sun. We can look at the light from
Artificial.
and we can look at light from stuff that are local, that are only a couple of light years away, and we can make the determination that they are moving and acting the way they were back then. But then we get weird data like we have a galaxy that's moving faster than the speed of light. We don't understand why.
Wait, what?
We actually have found galaxies that are moving faster than the speed of light. That's why they think that the universe is expanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
It's
I mean,
actually
it's not the
crap.
universe though. I mean, I had an idea that
Space itself is actually
Yeah,
Yes, I would-
exactly.
That's what-
That's what it was.
that's
just
actually-
say.
that's actually why that's the only way that they could explain it was that space is expanding so fast that
I
these
like the way
galaxies
Star Trek put it. You know, he's like, "Oh, I never thought about the idea of having the universe be the object moving." You know, when they were talking about warp fields.
Yeah.
Exactly.
like warp drives. Those things could be a real thing when you warp space. In a sense, you'll be moving.
But all a physicist does is they take something that they know and they apply theory to it, and that theory has been established.
Are you saying a
not-
scientific theory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
It has
No, they take-
verification.
Okay, say I'm looking at a particle, okay, and I want to predict something about that. We have theories that help us predict what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we know that if we try to look at it, we're going to affect that particle. Okay. And so I have to apply that to that, and then I also have to take that into consideration when I look at that particle. Now, it's a theory, but it still works. Okay.
It's verified. Yeah.
Yes, it's a verifiable theory. Okay? So that's what the scientific community does is we have these theories and we have many of them. It's not just one or two. Our theories actually are so extensive and some of them are very well detailed theories and they work. We don't know why they work.
They just
You
do.
step out of the scientific community. How do I explain it? We don't-
As far as the expansion of the universe, isn't there something about Einstein's equation? It doesn't predict. It doesn't work
predict,
without taking into account the expansion of the universe.
Yes, it doesn't.
His field equations. Yeah.
Yeah, his field equations don't take that into account, and yet they still work.
Ironically, though, he was a steady state person, wasn't he?
Yes.
It was his
Yeah.
greatest blunder.
That's ironic.
He called it his greatest blunder. So yeah.
And also, he said he didn't like quantum mechanics because he didn't want God to play with dice. I think it was, or some famous quote.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, quantum mechanics isn't. It's all probability. That's all quantum physics is, and a lot of people don't like that. It's all probability. We can predict what a particle is going to do, but it's a prediction based on probability.
So
And that
if
problem
we're
just-
wrong, it's okay.
Yeah, if we're wrong, it's okay. Like you have particles that are acting in your body in a certain manner, and we know how that they're working in your body. We know that you're just not going to blink out of existence because the probability of we've never ever ever seen a group of particles all disappear at the same time. It's just not going
Well,
to happen.
wouldn't that break conservation of energy?
No, actually, it wouldn't.
Wouldn't?
No, it is possible that you could just blink out of existence.
What do you mean by me? That's what I'm curious. What do you mean by me?
Well, I mean, if all your particles decided all of a sudden to shift out of,
Oh, you mean superposition?
yeah,
Oh.
just shift, you essentially would blink out of existence.
Oh, I thought you meant. Well, then I would be like teleported, wouldn't I?
Not necessarily, because we actually don't know where the particles are going.
No, but I'm saying if they all went to the same place.
No, because
They
they
can't.
don't all go to the same place. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
You
that's
would
the first
basically-
principle. The first principle is they can't hold the same quantum state. So
Right.
they're in the
No,
same
no, but I didn't mean the
spot.
same quantum state, but I just mean that they go to the same, so they're pretty much...
No, just because they shift, they shift in different directions.
Oh.
Because they're not all moving in the same direction. And if they decide to all jump at the same time, that would actually be disastrous for you, and you would die.
Well, I would be just atoms, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you would actually be ripped apart at the atoms.
Yeah, so...
Hence the black hole.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's actually with the black. That's a lot of stuff that's happening in the black hole is.
It's all being
Particles are
directionalized
frozen.
to one direction. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all moving in one direction. But the mass is so the Higgs field is basically acting on all that data in a way that it's holding it together and keeping it from moving. That's what, and it's condensing it. And the more that's there, the less that it moves. And less loss of the data too. But the bigger the black hole, the less effect it has on on our world, our universe. Which is really crazy, and I still have a hard time with that one.
So why are there black holes in the center of galaxies?
Actually, that would actually make a lot of sense. You need when the universe is cooling down, particles started forming, and then black holes.
Collected them.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, gravitational fields, man.
I'm gonna invite
But then you're talking about like dark matter interacting with it in a way, so then it.
Well, that we still don't understand what dark matter is, and we only see the effects of dark matter. We actually don't see what dark matter is. And one of the things I always tell people is dark matter is a placeholder name. It could be one thing, it could be 50 things. We do not know.
Guys, I'm gonna invite a guy in. Is that okay?
Well,
I'm gonna
I have
invite
to
him.
accept it, I think. But go ahead.
Yeah, Sweet
So,
Oblivion.
Chris,
Yeah.
I could do it. I could do that.
Okay.
Because I have them. So, where is he?
so pretty much everything that's in existence, it's pretty much a result of the universe slowing down and matter condensing or coming
Right.
together over time, right?
Well,
That's
and
interesting.
matter does come together. It also rips itself apart. I mean, we see that with when suns go supernova.
Well, that's entropy.
Oh yeah.
All right,
That's
I'm
okay.
going to introduce Sweet Oblivion here. So,
hi, everyone.
Sweet Oblivion, you there? All right.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm here.
So introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. My YouTube account is Honest Techno Atheist, but this is just my Skype name. I
Okay,
changed
cool.
it a little while ago.
So tell us a little
Nice
about
to meet
yourself.
you.
Oh, yeah. As I said, I'm an atheist, and I kind of gradually transferred over from being a Christian to an atheist back towards the end of 2009. And then
Oh, okay.
for a while I was debating atheism a lot, and then I finally got tired of it. And I'd seen everything theism had to offer. And then I just kind of got bored of it, and I went just watching fun things on YouTube, and that's pretty much it.
So you got bored.
Yeah.
You're no atheist. You just hate God.
Oh, yeah.
Just an agnostic.
I
Yeah,
actually
I heard that one.
with a theist. Well, he was a Christian. He says he was a theist. He was a Christian.
Okay,
And
okay,
I
yeah.
frustrated him beyond belief.
What'd you do?
Well, he didn't. I don't think he's ever talked to a real physicist. And
Well, you have
he
a
kept
master's, so I
isolating-
get. Wait, why don't you have a PhD?
I'm working on it.
Oh, so you are gonna get one. Holy crap!
You still got to make a dissertation. That's incredibly difficult.
Yes, it
He
takes
sees the
years.
world in numbers, Prag. I bet if he looked at the stars, he'd be like, "Fuck."
Well, he's not like a field like education where you could just pull anything out of your ass and make a
I
dissertation.
know that.
about it. No offense to people with education, because I've seen some really nice dissertations out there, but
You write Ken Hovins, right?
just I needed to clear my name there. You know, it's like I'm not saying education's a shit field. It's an awesome field.
But every time he hypothesized something, I went along with it, and he didn't know what to do. And he's like, "What? You agree with me?" And I was like, "Well, you made the hypothesis, so let's go with it. I mean, that's what you said. To go with it." And we went with it, and then at the end of it, I explained to him why he was totally wrong. And he's just like, at the end of it, he's like, I just can't talk to you. And I was like, why? He goes, because you're agreeing with me, but then you don't agree with me. I was like, well, that's what a physicist does.
Mind fuck you.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
Right. I was like, we can assume that your God is real, and we can assume that whatever you're saying is correct. But then whenever I say, let's apply that to the real world, that's where you fall apart. And he hated that. And that's what I think a lot of you guys should start doing. Let's look at it from your point of view and agree with them.
I honestly heard
Good
that.
work.
Yeah.
With
I agree, yeah.
But
I honestly
then
heard that
let's
from
turn
someone
around
else.
and apply it to the real world. Does it work? No, it doesn't.
Chris, I honestly heard that from someone else, a guy named Negation of P, who used to be on the show. Supposed to be on the first episode, but he said the same thing. He went with the argument and pretty much let the guy fall apart by himself. Let his argument kill himself.
That's a
Right.
discussion. If you're arguing,
Good
you
advice.
never get to that point.
The people like Neff, I think that I saw your episode last week. I wouldn't let him get away with half that he got away with. I give you guys credit because you guys were very patient with him, but I wouldn't have let him get away with any of the stuff that he was saying.
Well,
And
honestly, we tried to. Apparently, a few weeks before, Litho Did Man actually commented on stuff he said. The people I brought in didn't comment on some of the stuff he did.
Well, I wouldn't have let him get away with his explanation of dark matter. I would explain to him exactly what it is. It's a placeholder name. You can sit there and say that that's proof that God exists, but that's proof that there's something out there we don't know.
I think I said that.
Well,
or something similar.
well, the thing is with let's say Nephilim 3, there's no real point in.
There's no real logic behind
No,
this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm anything you'll say to him, like anything you'll correct him upon, he'll ignore it.
Oh yeah.
I fully agree that in this kind of philosophy kind of sense, let's go with what you say. Let's just assume you're correct and then let his argument fall apart by himself. But from my opinion, that only works with non-evidential stuff with creationists.
He's claiming
No.
evidence.
And one of the reasons why I think you don't see a lot of particle physicists out there preaching to anybody and sitting there even really giving much of a concern and about what people think or whatever is because when we start talking to somebody like Neff, they don't grasp what you're talking about, and it's actually very hard to explain. Even if you go and read everything up on the subject and then go look at the world that they're talking about and start looking at the data that's come back, we still don't understand it. It's very hard to grasp it.
I'd assume so. It's an unknown world in a sense.
But
We can only look at. Sorry, go on.
we can make very educated predictions about how the particles work, but we still, it's a prediction. It's an educated guess still.
Who the heck is Josh?
Oh, he's a
Josh is a
friend.
friend.
Oh, we'll start. Wait. Let's. So sweet oblivion. You have anything about the show to comment about?
Oh, wasn't this going to be a feedback show?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, as I said last week, I was talking to I think it was Pragmatic.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's Bragg.
seemed to me the show was a little kind of boring, maybe, other than the one between Aaron Ron and Nephilim Free. That one was pretty exciting.
Actually, I found that one actually probably the most boring of them all.
Did you like the one with when Nephi got kicked?
Yeah, well, he left.
No,
Well,
no,
anyways.
not that one. The one
Hold on,
two before that.
Guys,
I must not have got to that one yet.
let him
Hello,
finish.
Josh.
Go ahead.
Sweet Oblivion, can you continue?
Yeah, as I said, it was pretty hype, fast-paced between Aaron Ra and Nephilim.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the creationists are the most fun to debate because they're the ones who seem the most anti-science, whereas the more liberal ones, they agree with evolution, they agree with the Big Bang.
Yeah. No, you do recognize it's not a debate show. It's
Oh yeah, you told me that. It was more like friendly
discussion.
conversation.
Yeah. So, but yeah, debate's gonna obviously pop up every now and then. That's just natural human interaction. But
Well, I mean, like when Neff's on, it's not even a conversation show. It's him just preaching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's basically him just blurting crap and us refuting it.
And I
or
actually
you guys
just stumbled
refuting it
on
and him ignoring it. Yeah.
I actually just stumbled on the show and was just like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then I watched him talk, and I'm like, this dude does not know anything.
But I mean, the funny thing is, the reason I knew the episode with Evolution was not going to go well was because the night before, I talked to him, and pretty much he hung up on me because he wanted me to define morphology, and like, what is a change in morphology? I'm like, wouldn't that be a change in the DNA? And he's like, tell me a change. He kept repeating the question. I'm like, what the fuck you want me to say? Like, I mean, like, that's the answer that I can think
God.
of. And then they hanged up. I'm like, what the fuck?
The answer is God.
I don't know.
Obviously.
There's
Hey,
no,
what else?
there's nobody in the scientific community that would accept that answer, which is probably why he's not working in that community.
Well, that's the problem. He made an assumption in the beginning, and all he's
My
doing is
answer or
looking
his?
for with Neff's.
No,
His
he
whole
didn't give me an
thinking.
answer. He left.
Well, no, his whole thinking is
Oh.
he already has an answer, and all he's looking for is evidence that supports it. Never
Yeah,
looking at anything else.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, I mean, we're looking for certain information. We do the same thing in our field. We look for proof of why something's working. Like we know
For sure.
gravity's working. We're looking for that proof of why it's doing that. I mean,
Could we hold off for a second? Can you introduce yourself, Josh?
Oh yeah, I'm Josh. Sorry.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
Why does someone have my name?
I've watched about 2 episodes, so
Strife, he's
I
still
got 3 on you. I got 3, so
it's fairly new. I did
Compare
love that
penises
one though.
time?
What's that?
You're gonna compare penises?
No.
You watched 2, he watched 3.
Oh yeah.
I don't have that. All I'm saying is I like your show. I don't normally watch 2 or 3 of anything.
Okay, then I'll take that as a compliment.
I
So-
actually find your show very interesting.
Don't take it as a compliment. We're insulted from that for no
No,
reason at all.
Wait, you're insulted at Josh for only watching 2?
Yes.
No, I like the show though, but
Okay, so
this
Josh,
is my
do you have
first
any
episode
comments
here,
about the
so-
show?
no, I was wondering, are there any rules on the show, or is
Well, as long as you obey what the moderators say, and we're pretty lax, that
As long
It's
as
the
you
only
agree
rule.
with this.
yeah, agree with me and you're fine.
As long as you don't go batshit crazy on the
Yeah.
show or trolling.
Well, you can be that too, as long as I'm okay with it. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Oh, hey, I was trying to ask earlier, what all do you think of an atheist using a sock account, pretending to be a theist and trolling people with it? Do you think that's
That's a pose.
Do you think
I
that's
hate
messed up?
that.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because
Well, the reason why I did it is because, as I said, I've seen everything that atheism has to offer, and I'm totally convinced atheism is true and correct and everything. But I want to try and defend theism for a change, and I want to try and defend their arguments.
Actually, I kind of respect somebody who does that because they're trying to look at it from a different point of view and trying to get
Devil's
it
advocate.
mindset.
I'll have to play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I would absolutely disagree with the statement of saying atheism is true. I mean, atheism is the disbelief of a statement.
Oh.
It's not. It's neither true or false. It's
Right.
just nothing.
That's just
you
the
know.
way I was wording it. I mean, I
It
agree with
is
you.
true and that it is false, which makes it false. Maybe it's true.
Maybe I should
No.
I do not. I do not like when atheists strawman Christians because we do not like when Christians strawman atheists.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. That's
just
fair.
either way, it's not going to be a good argument.
Double standards are horrible.
So,
yeah.
Josh, you have any opinions?
Yeah, I would say, in one perspective, though, you could look at it like you've all watched Edward Current, right?
Who?
Yeah, I hate
Edward
his.
Current,
yeah.
So
Edward
he's
Current, he does a satire
I
of Christianity.
I love that he's like, God is not my imaginary invisible friend. You guys got to get that through your head.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
So something like that's not harmful. I mean, people can tell that obviously he's joking. But if you're doing something like
No, they
that,
don't. That's what's funny.
Hey,
You've got to read the
they
comments.
should. They should.
If you ever have a look at the comment section in his videos, it's
It's a bloodbath.
But it
Yes.
says so even in the description. This is a satire.
Yeah, he does admit in this description.
He does say it says this is a satire.
Well, people don't read it.
Yeah.
But
What
most
do you think
people don't
is-
say that though. They try to deceive you and.
To me, it's more annoying than anything, and it doesn't really solve anything.
Well, it's like any sign. If there's a sign there, that means someone needed it there.
Yeah, but it's like
That's
instruction
what's sad.
booklets. Read instruction booklets.
Yeah.
It's like when you see a sign that says "Warning, wall ahead." It's like, really? So some guy needs to be warned that there's a wall ahead. There's something wrong here.
Okay, what all do you think of the same thing I said, only this time, instead of using arguments, just insulting people?
You're
Or
like
change
Danny.
speech,
You're like
but
you're,
insult
you're like Ravenwolf.
It
Oh,
depends.
is that easier?
Well, if you're just out there to literally insult, and one, you're discrediting yourself. Because it's whenever people insult nowadays, it just discredits them. People just be like, "What a jerk!"
What the hell?
Throw that away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've got some of that, but
We just added someone for no
I
reason.
don't know how. I didn't do it. That was weird. Oh yeah, you still
I've
call.
I've got a point in case. I mean, in my opinion, it depends if they deserve it or not. I mean, point in case, living dinosaur. He can be extremely vulgar in his videos, but the thing is, he's always factually correct, at least as far as I could check. And if he gets something wrong, he admits it, and he doesn't use ad hominem attacks. He's simply insulting people for being deceiving and liars, you know, and that's different because
It's
what
poetry. He does
That's
poetry.
rebuking. That's just rebuking. That's fine. If you're gonna
Yeah.
rebuke someone for being wrong,
yeah, exactly. But he also insults people, and he uses profanity to a degree that not everybody I know is okay with. I myself sometimes cringe a bit. I still love his videos, but I cringe sometimes, you know, because I just think it's not 100% necessary, you know. But it's his style, and
Exactly.
it's okay. But insulting still. I still think that an argument or even a rebuke done without insults is more powerful than a rebuke done with insults, because it's just, you know, I mean, if you want anybody to listen to you, you know, it's and you're going to insult them, then, you know, you might as well not have spoken. But I'm aware that, you know, the Living Dinosaurs videos, for instance, are not really aimed at the people who make those videos or the videos that he rebukes, because he knows they're not going to listen to them. You know, they're not going to, open their ears for his arguments. They're just going to ignore it.
I agree, Kaiser. I mean, they can be entertaining, but they're not going to convert a theist, or they're not going to convince anybody of anything. So it's empathy that is needed in the atheist community towards theists.
Kind of wrong. I think that they're not going to convert the person they're talking to and insulting. I think that it makes other people who actually are a little bit more open-minded go, "Ha, he's funny," and then they start checking the facts, and they're like, "Oh, they're right," and it kind of start. That's actually where I see a lot of. I've noticed that on YouTube a lot, is that you start seeing It's not the person that you're talking to that's being affected. It's actually the people that are listening to it that are being affected.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but exactly. But
Yeah.
the thing is, if let's say coming from the creationist side, and if let's say you are an Eric Hovenist, okay, and you watch a video about Eric Hovind, and let's say the living dinosaurs utterly destroys Hovind, and at the same time he keeps on insulting him, and you are a Hovind fan, what would you do if
I'd
you
ignore it.
basically but the thing is that your I don't know your
But
idol gets
they may
insulted
ignore it, but
to
you
I don't
still
know what.
you have a wider audience that is looking at that doesn't necessarily take what Hovind has to say into account as law or as fact or
Of course, but
and they look at it and
they need the converting.
you can dissuade people from going towards that view by insulting them. And I call people morons all the time. I do it at work, actually. And actually, it's quite common.
How's that work?
Shouting matches and call people freaking retarded, stupid, all kinds of stuff.
Which is hilarious because they're brilliant people. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I call him an imbecile all the time. And he calls me a spedtard all the time. Because we both are sitting there, and then we one day we came to the conclusion we both don't know anything.
Exactly.
Because we saw a particle act unlike anything we've ever seen it act, and we're like,
oh fuck, what?
Oh, stupid. Why wasn't that in our prediction model? And we're going, we're both retarded.
But to get back on the
but we
previous
also know that I think that it actually helps people that are watching it to see other people downgrading them a little bit, because there's a consequence to thinking like that. And if you
a little bit
keep giving them positive feedback and you keep talking to them very civilized, you're giving somebody respect for having a stupid ideal.
Yeah, that's mixed opinions. That's the importance of... Hold on a second. I just want to make this point. That's the importance of rebuking. When you rebuke someone, you're saying, you are stupid when you do this, and you should not be proud of that, and change your ways. If you don't tell them that, well, they're not going to know. And if a viewer holds the similar view as the view being rebuked, they may feel insulted, but that's okay. That's intended. And they might actually say, I don't like feeling this way, but they're right. Maybe I should change my mind. Whereas a person who's not going to look at it that way, they've already had their decision in the first place. They don't care. So, of course they're going to ignore you. It's not because you're making fun of them. It's because they don't care about the facts. They just want to be left alone. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that I'm just saying it in my opinion, it's just not as effective, okay? Have a look at, let's say, Pothole 54. He is always polite, but he uses wit, and he uses knife-edged
There's no
tongue,
fucking
basically.
carbon in it.
Yeah, exactly. He uses...
Hey, Hovind, there's no
ridicules.
fucking carbon in it.
Yeah, exactly. He
That's a great
ridicules, he ridicules where ridicule is due. He insults to some extent, but he's not using profanity to the extent that, let's say, the Living Dinosaur does, and that's why I think, personally, that Portola's videos are more effective at, let's say, converting people. The Living Dinosaur, he's great, I love him, and I think his videos are effective, but just not as effective as they could be.
You gotta
Yeah,
admit,
that's all I'm saying.
Well, people, when they hear cuss words, they kind of shut down. And so
Which is sad.
Especially religious
most people don't realize it's just a word.
It's phonemes. Oh no!
And I actually have had conversations with people, because I do cuss quite a bit. And I've actually had somebody say
no, really?
Yeah. I've actually been told that it's a sign of a limited mind, and then I'm like, really? And then I'll throw an equation up and say, solve that. When you can solve that, you can say I have a limited mind. And they're just like, No, it
As
means that
Ski911 mentioned in the chat, exactly. You insult the idea, not the person. And if you can keep that balance in mind, you like Potholder54 does. You keep on track with the topic, and the topic doesn't become how stupid you are. Like that kind of
right.
stuff.
Wait, what were you saying, Sweetie? Sweetie?
Oh, yeah, I was trying to say what I did with my account. This time, this is the second time I've done it. On this latest account I was doing it on, I was trolling people who I didn't really like very much. They were other atheists, and I kept calling them sodomites in most of my comments. Because I got the idea from other Christians who keep mentioning, slang words for homosexuals and sodomy and everything. So that's kind of where I got my ideas from.
So I just kept yelling pagan, communist, Marxist, all those liberal.
Yeah.
Oh, all kinds of stuff.
Oh my god, humanist!
What I would do is say, well, all atheists are sodomites.
You scientismist thing.
I'd say atheists always try and defend homosexuals, so they're sodomites too. I basically make faulty arguments intentionally.
Satanists.
That's
They're Satanists.
Most atheists thought it was either they thought it was funny or they're like, don't bother me with that. I just won't tell anyone, or they didn't get mad. But a few of them did get mad, and I've been arguing with them a better part of the day.
Yeah, you find out you're watching.
See, but what I notice is a lot of people that are on the creationalist side they go to the extreme. Most people in your day-to-day lives actually don't hold those viewpoints.
Well,
Eric Hovind, for one, I consider an extremist, and I consider him an idiot too.
That's a given.
Definitely.
He's very uneducated. He
I
likes
like face palms all the time. She's Christian. She's like, holy crap, what is this guy on?
Wow.
And when a 6-year-old can shoot down his whole theory.
Oh, you saw that?
I thought that was just hilarious.
Well, if you don't know everything, how do you know about God?
That's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard.
All of you are Americans, right?
I'm an American.
I am.
Yes.
I think all
I
of
am.
you are.
I'm a Missourian. We're different.
Mr. American.
I'm a
Oh,
Texan.
you're my neighbor.
What?
I'm in Arizona.
I'm a Texan.
I'm a New Yorker.
Iowa.
I'm surrounded by rednecks.
I don't redneck.
United Homosexual League of the United States. I don't know.
One of the things I think that's really cool, like where I live, believe it or not, most of Iowa is not secular, but the big cities in Iowa are secular, which is crazy. And it kind of shows the relation of when you start moving away from society, how stupid people get, and when you come into the big cities, you realize how the sharing of ideals becomes.
Well, that's what they are. Cultural diffusion centers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very fascinating because if I go 20 miles outside of where I live, you get people that are Christians. You come back into town, and people will mock God. I mean, because they're more educated here in town. When you get to the outskirts, and you start seeing more churches, and the further away from the big cities you get, you start seeing that too, because they're relying on their own information to make assumptions. And where I'm from, they're not relying on just their information, so they're not making just assumptions based on what their worldview. They're making assumptions based on more than one person's worldview.
See, I've heard in philosophy something interesting. People, a lot of these forms, it makes my head hurt, are trying to attack the peer review system, which to me is absurd because the scientific community is already doing that for a good reason. They're saying, hey, it needs fixing here. But it works. It just needs some fixing. But these guys are like, oh, it needs fixing, therefore it fails completely. And I'm like, okay, well, do you guys review your things when you're going through your philosophies? Of course you do. You have people criticize philosophies. They have their own peer review system. But I find it interesting that these people in these more fundamental areas, they're ignoring the idea of putting their ideas to the test through other ideas. They, center themselves in this little bubble. And
It's special pleading.
Unless you are able to go through the filter system of that bubble, which confirms you believe in what they believe, you will not be heard. To me, that's sad, because how can they ever find out whether they're right or wrong? They can't. But like the peer review system, exactly the point is to do that. It's to say, you have a bias towards your theory, so obviously you won't have a great opportunity to see these mistakes. They don't have a bias towards it. They're more likely to say, "Oh, you made an error here. Oh, that's not true. Oh."
Make a comment on the issues that we see in our peer reviews system, that why we say it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, go ahead. That's perfect.
It's why we think it needs to get fixed is because it's the people who are actually coming up in the physics community. What basically is happening is somebody will come up with an idea, and what ends up happening is like string theory, perfect example. String theory got a lot of PR. It basically has no ground to stand on.
It's a meaningless theory, almost.
Yeah, it's pretty much meaningless, and there's really no evidence for it, and a lot of people are still clinging to that theory, even though we have no proof that it exists. We have the math behind it falls apart pretty quickly.
I just love the description. Dimensions are intersecting and twining with one another, and the way they vibrate, which don't vibrate in the way the universe vibrates, but causes the forming of particles.
That right there is a perfect example of why we say that it needs to be fixed, because we've proven time and time that it's failed in every avenue. Yet there's still funding for it. The reason there's still funding for it, we need a system that's separated from the public, and that the public does not have any say whatsoever. That's not going to happen because we need funding.
Sadly, yeah.
Unfortunately. So
that's also where biased science comes from.
And they want research into it. And like string theory is pretty much dead, but there's still many people out there studying it. Many people putting a lot of theories together for it, and most of them fall apart. And yet they still keep going with it, even though most of the people in my field look at it and go, "You're a joke."
So Michio Kaku, he's considered pretty much a clown in the scientific community.
In my circle, yes.
Okay, well, can I go back to the show's
thing? He has a demeanor that is very pleasing to the public.
Sure. Hold on, Strife.
Yeah,
continue.
So Josh and Sweet Oblivion, you have any comments about the show and any ideas for future topics?
Yeah, you two are sure quiet.
Well, I don't want to try and interrupt.
Wait, one of you, try to between yourselves. Who goes first?
Well, we did address them together.
I was going to say, I don't want to try to interrupt anyone, but...
Okay, Josh, go first.
Ideas for the show. Well, morality is always a good one to discuss.
Thought I would get more than that. Okay, but okay, Yusui.
Is this for topics only about atheism, theism, or topics about anything?
Anything.
Could
it's
be.
Discussion.
Because if it's topics about anything, I like discussing Star Wars and music.
Oh, well.
Actually,
I think
that is
that's
something we haven't touched on.
I think that's way far off.
Yeah. It is, but it is.
I mean, you could relate it somehow.
Well, Star Wars can be related to a religion, a cult in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's actually true. Yeah. I mean, isn't there like an official Jedi church? And let's say in Germany, actually, there's a Jedi church, and you can
it's called Catholicism.
No, but you can actually in Germany.
Where's the money, Daddy?
Put in on the religious affiliation. You can actually put in Jedi, and also FSM, obviously, because it's also a church there. And yeah.
I know. It seems like we talk a lot about science, and science is awesome. And I've only, within the last year, gotten really especially interested in it. But I think it would also be kind of nice to have a show talking more about, picking the Bible apart, and about the flaws and the inconsistencies.
That I'd like to see.
Well, the thing is, I'm no expert.
Because that's essentially what got me to deconvert or come out of Christianity was actually sitting and reading the Bible cover to cover and realizing what it actually says.
Well, the thing that I hear a lot about that thing is slavery. You know, the whole thing with slavery in the Bible is not mentioned the same as slavery in America, yet it is.
Yeah, if I may
Absolutely, yes.
interject here for a second, on that topic, there's Bored to Bits, his YouTube channel, and he's currently doing a verse-by-verse Genesis thing, basically where he analyzes the verses of Genesis account and basically rips them apart. It's quite interesting. He's got a YouTube channel, Bored to Bits, right?
Okay, yeah.
Find it.
He's
He's
got
a
to be
great
more than
channel.
bits.
He owes us now for you doing that.
A topic I like discussing is the future and technology and where humanity is headed.
And see, that's important too, because science needs to go more into that for the PR. By discussing futures, I'm sure they could get certain theories and stuff to pick up a bit in funding.
Well, some people say that, you know, though there's going to be nuclear attack on America, or there'll be a big nuclear attack on the whole world, and that mutually assured destruction will.
You're talking about prophecies now?
No, not biblical prophecy. I'm talking about just like one country gets mad.
There's
at
always a
something.
possibility for that to happen. That's the whole thing. I mean, a lot of people tend to lean towards the bad end of the spectrum. On the good end of the spectrum, world peace could break out. I mean,
Okay,
Yeah.
I honestly don't think world peace would ever happen.
I don't think it will either.
Yeah.
But
I
Wouldn't
mean,
that be boring?
I bet there will still be wars, but I doubt we would kill ourselves. I think we're smart enough species to say we would not kill ourselves by nuking or using chemical weapons to destroy the Earth. I think we're. I mean,
I
that
should
may be a
hope
little
not.
bit hopeful, but I'm saying I think we're that smart, at least.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
launches a
He said
nuke
it
at
best.
someone.
He said wars are for people who have no way of articulating and can take that they're wrong.
Well,
That's what wars are.
Well, technically,
And
I bet Einstein.
He'd
versus-
like to see wars come about to the point of a war is a debate where your ideal gets set forth, and then you have to defend it while somebody else rips you apart.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that obviously debate always needs two sides, and that's exactly why
Well,
wars happen.
I got a better idea.
Mhm.
A Quake 3 match.
Oh,
That's how, if I remember correctly, this was a while ago. The people of Minecraft, Notch, was getting sued by Bethesda because he was using the name Scrolls. So he offered a Quake 3 match to see who would get the rights. Apparently it's never
Okay.
happened, but still, I mean, that'd been awesome.
Here, I'm going to give you guys a link.
Skill.
You guys might like it. No one on the show is going to see it. But this is, since we're talking about Quake, the first Quake game was done quickest ever. And it's only in 52 minutes. The whole game from start to finish.
Oh, wow.
What difficulty?
No cheating.
How long is
Nightmare.
Quake? I don't know. I don't know
Nightmare,
the game.
and it was all
Oh
100%.
my god.
How long is Quake?
Quake is a freaking long game. Took me like 4 hours just to beat the first one.
I remember I used to play the first Quake game.
It's hard, too.
I always played on easy skill, though.
I played on normal and couldn't beat the whole thing. And these guys are
Always
nightmare.
prefer-
They're beating it 100% everything.
So
I always
Josh,
prefer
Jo-
blood.
awesome.
so Josh, you have any things to say?
What's that?
You have anything to say?
Oh,
Takes
yeah.
on the show, any of the past episodes, if you've seen any of that.
Well, no, I would like to see more discussions on theology, like as a skeptic had said.
Well, the hard part, though, from what I've experienced, because I try to get to people, is getting theists. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Most theists don't want to get on here and get ripped
Yeah.
apart.
I mean-
Well, I mean, Nephi is, I would say, more of a... Everyone's killed him, pretty much. He's dead.
What about Ben Bang X?
He's dead, too. He got ripped apart long ago.
But,
What-
by the
I
way,
wouldn't mind a minor discussion with him, like just
No, I
To
already
know
I sent
more
a message
about
to him.
the guy,
I sent a
but-
message to him 2 months ago. Got no reply.
Fan X, I thought his parents took him off the internet or something.
No, he still hasn't account.
That was a couple
No,
of
the guy
years
who I
ago.
want to try and get is Eye to Eye. That guy is You
If you do make if you do make a show about that, you're welcome to invite me because I've basically written a book on it.
a book on what?
On just the flaws and inconsistencies in the Bible.
Well,
I mean, not literally a book, but I've written quite I've put together quite a bit.
So why don't you write a book?
I guess I could.
Because there's already Talk Origins, isn't
Yeah,
there?
but
Let me get my 100,000 million subscribers first, and then I'll write a book and it'll sell.
Really.
No, just begin selling your product on YouTube and then just go from there. Be like Eric Hov, be like Ken Hovind. Like every time he did those seminars, he's like buy my videos. They're not copyrighted, so you can get them for free, but still pay $99 for them. How stupid are you?
Yeah,
doesn't
don't,
matter
because you'll end up in jail. Like, no, I'm kidding.
What?
Because people waste money on stupid stuff.
I know
Yeah.
a theist who has Skype and has really weird arguments.
I'm not abusing it.
Who thinks that if you ever heard of the wave function of the universe,
Yeah.
and he thinks that we're living in a simulation right now and that we're in a dream in God's mind.
Who?
That's what's wrong with the scientific community.
Do you want the user's name?
Wait. Who? Who does?
Man and rats.
Oh, you want the user's name?
Who are you talking about?
The user Johan and Rats.
I'll type it right here.
Is he like really into this shit?
He's
Yeah.
into metaphysics mainly.
And he says he studies physics, and I'm sure he does, but I mean...
You can't get metaphysics from physics, actually. Can you?
I know.
Yeah, he has a YouTube account with videos, and he has so he just doesn't get on very often, but...
Oh crap, we lost him.
Well, theoretically, no, I'm kidding.
Let's see here. You think, how about we do how about, because we're already at 2 hours in, how about final remarks?
Okay.
Okay, so, let's go by the last guy in, so, Josh first.
And we'll have an after show after this. So
Yeah, Josh first.
Well, I think it would be, if you're going to have a show where you're discussing religion and everything, you probably need to have some kind of structure to it, like in a debate. So
it's just discussion mostly. The intent of the show is to try to get theists in it, but sadly, like we just mentioned, they're not going to want to because they're going to feel like they're going to get ripped a new one, which, depending upon their honesty, yeah, they might, but if they're honest with us and they can say, I'm not sure, that's fine. I just would like more discussion than debate, so,
Okay,
but that's a good point.
yeah, and I think you should, like someone else said, you should be able to discuss anything, like current events or religion, anything.
Fair enough, all right.
Okay, now Sweet Oblivion.
I think it's a pretty good show, and yeah, if theists do come on, it's likely to be debates rather than just friendly conversation, because that tends to happen with theists. Or you can maybe put a description on the show somewhere that says this can be about casual debates, and there need to be no arguments or anything.
Okay.
Well, if argument breaks out, definitely stop. Yeah, don't worry.
Chris?
Actually, I love the show. I think that you guys need to have more professionals come on the show, actually, and actually educate them. Whenever you bring somebody on that, like Neff, who's sitting there talking about different varying fields, try to find somebody in that field.
That actually was my case in the episode with Neff. I brought in a guy who was had a PhD in invertebrate biology. Well, Aaron Ra, pretty,
I'll have to watch that episode then.
It's the last episode with Aaron Ra and Neff. That's the only episode with Aaron Ra and Neff.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He was included in it.
Yeah,
so,
Litho Did Man was in there. That's the guy.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Okay.
Kaiser?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me in. Great show. It was an absolute pleasure to have, especially Chris, on. Well, be able to talk to him. I mean, it was absolutely enlightening. Yeah.
One question though for you.
Yeah.
What's with the picture? I think everyone's been asking that.
I love the picture, man.
Yeah, what is with the picture? No, but like, is it
I'm
a real picture?
addicted to cocaine!
Hey, anyone who
It's not
knows
tiny. His girlfriend has a fetish for clowns and
it's Death
so
Clock.
that's what that was about, right?
No, it's Death Clock. If anyone knows
It's a
it,
TV show.
well, in case yeah, kind of. It's basically it's a metal band with kind of TV show kind of thing, and it's basically got all these metal stereotypes in it. It's hilarious. And there's Dr. Roxo, which is the clown, and he does cocaine. He's completely fucked. You know, just Google Dr. Roxo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about to send you guys a link to that.
PSS.
Yes.
Hilarious.
You have any final closing statements?
I want to say that this is an awesome show, and I'd love to come back on again at some point, if you'll have me. And thank you for inviting me. This has been great. And sub my channel, Ivyman123. That's IVYMAN123.
You put a link in?
Or if you just type in the pipe smoking skeptic with the spaces, then I'll pop up.
Okay,
It'll
Crack.
pop up like a pipe.
Subscribed.
Crack.
Me? You all suck. I quit. And yeah, screw you all.
Okay, I'll say very interesting show. A lot different than the other ones because, well, instead of it actually being a fighting match with Neff, which I would say maybe 2/3 were. No wait, yeah, 2/3. It was an actual discussion and it was an enjoyable thing. And
Strife has a man crush on Neff, by the way.
no, I don't.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah. So yeah, and so we'll be on next week at 7 Eastern Standard Time, and signing off. Let's
Click.